Huma. Huma Finance runs on Solana, backed by Stellar, has joined the global dollar network to advance stablecoin adoption on Solana. Granted, but when I tell you where Stellar is plugged into this, it's gonna blow your mind. But Huma is proud to announce its official membership in the Global Dollar Network, a coalition of prominent enterprises dedicated to promoting the adoption of stablecoins via aligned initiatives, regulatory clarity, and worldwide utility. Initiated by Paxos and supported by Global Dollar USDG, this network features notable members including Robinhood, Kraken, Anchorage Digital, Nueve, and WorldPay. So, prominent names, big players in the space. We already know how Paxos is coming. We know how Kraken is coming. Shout out to them. They launched their Inc. blockchain. The branding. Kraken, Inc. Because it's a genius. Okay, Anchorage, Nueve, WorldPay. We know those names. Huma Finance was relatively new to me. However, when I read the headline, it did ring a bell, and I was starting to wonder why. Well, you see, not only is the Global Dollar Network very deep, back in when Huma Finance kicked off, one of their primary investors was the Stellar Development Foundation. And in the press release that Huma has on the funding round, they mentioned that they would soon be integrating what they call PayFi into the Stellar blockchain. That PayFi is what brought attracted the attention of the Global Dollar Network in the first place. Now, the Global Dollar Network also has some familiar names that we recently just talked about, specifically Rain, the Visa-backed stablecoin debit card issuer that also incorporated Solana and Stellar. Funny how that works. Multi-chain things. That's what we're going to start calling them. Oh, that's a multi-chain thing. You know, multi-chain things. But we got other names on here. Arculus Beam, which is another actually gaming project to the point of our previous segment, who is making the transition to be an infrastructure network. So they want to support multiple use cases, gaming, AI, maybe even supply chain technology. They're under a rebrand for sure right now, but Beam is someone you want to watch. Very low cost asset as well. Alfred, I know, works with Stellar. Dreyfus DBS, Paxos, Sling Money, PDAX, CoinMina. CoinMina has worked with Ripple, that I do know. But this is the Global Dollar Network that Huma Finance is now a part of. And their USDG Global Dollar recently launched on Solana. So that's another win. I'm telling you, despite all of the energy that people like to give Solana, they putting in work. They're putting in the work. But this also opens up what is called the PayFi Ecosystem. This was actually created, within the last 6 or 7 months, because Masari published a report, which we'll touch on in a second, that was dated in January of this year. So this PayFi ecosystem is fairly new, but you can see right away some very recognizable names. Chainlink. We got Bridge.io. Lots of discussion about them. They're now a Stripe company. Stripe is also listed here under payment infrastructures, which is also very key as well. Notice how they're categorized based on where they fit in the entire scheme. Under cross-border payments, we got our guys Bitso. Bitso Business just partnered with the XDC network to that point. So did Zoth under the trade finance arm. They brought in XDC into their umbrella. Under card issuers, you got Visa, you got Red.Pay, and you also have Rain, who we were just mentioning, who brought in Stellar, Solana, and Tron. Of course, they did brought in Tron into their network. We go back down to the payment infrastructure, guys. Request Network. Okay. This is my only issue with the guys at Zebek. I listened to a Twitter space where he said verbatim, we are the first payroll company in crypto. And my brother, that's not the case. Request beat you there. Okay? They tailored their service to focus specifically on invoices, but when they got here, it was payroll. And I believe they still have tech for payroll. So all the more reason why when I first saw Zebek, heard the value prop, I said, that's going to work because I've seen it work in the past. Request Network may not have the best marketing, or they're not always on Twitter trying to catch attention, but they got the partnerships, they got the software, and they're being used. Clearly, they've been added into this PayFi ecosystem. So we also got Yellow Card, Farm Bank, Coins PH, and Banksa, of course, work with Stellar. And to that point, transaction layer, there are only two networks here, Solana and Stellar. SNS right there, the SNS connection. It don't get no better than that. So I like this development here. Huma Finance getting involved with the Global Dollar Network, bringing in the entire PayFi ecosystem that they've created. This will benefit Solana and Stellar Lumens. Now, interesting point I want to leave you with here. We covered the stablecoin report. The only other networks mentioned in that report, but the numbers weren't high enough, were Solana and XRP. XRP was in there. Okay, 10% in the Japanese market. That's all XRP. All right, but it's running Tether. So yeah, there's that. And Solana was in there with a little concentration in India, if I'm not mistaken, largely running USDC. Point I'm making is, when it comes to the payments from a retail perspective, the biggest ecosystem right now that is bridging the gap is Huma Finance's PayFi, which leverages Solana and Stellar. You can't beat that, guys. You can't beat that. Gotta love it. But this is the report that I was mentioned to about Huma Finance. I would definitely advise you to take a second, download this. Another one that's absolutely free. You can see Solana Foundation, Stellar Dev right there. It gives us even more insights on the mechanics, what specific components of Stellar and Solana are being used in the PayFi ecosystem. Definitely worth the read, guys.